are missing in action. Let me say hi to my listeners in Montserrat, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Martin, North America, as far as Minnesota, some friends in Atlanta, but my Lucian friends posse in New York. Sakafet! I say get well soon to Sylvine. Sylvine is not feeling very well. I visited her in the countryside on the weekend. Sylvine, I pray for your speedy recovery. How you doing, Maria? Maria Cumberbatch. I haven't seen you for a very long time. I saw your husband, and I'm glad to know that you are doing very well. Of course, I would always like to big up my boys at St. Peter's, bass, engineering, motor, touring. Oh, these boys are just special. They are skilled and they know what they are doing. Bass. I would like to just take a little time to big up the staff at the electoral department. Why am I doing that? Something happened last week and I had to produce an ID card. And when I gave them my national ID, they say, boy, that's not good. It actually expired since 2025. Now, I was glad that they said that because I need that for me to vote. And I thought it was all right. Now, but why am I bigging them up? So I went to the electoral department and I told them what the issue was. And they were so sweet. And let me tell you guys, believe me, in less than 10 to 15 minutes, I was out with, look, one of the best cards. I want to just big up these people. Maybe they were able to attend to me because the election rush have not started and so on. But the efficiency must be commended. And not only that, the professionalism that they displayed. And that is amazing. Sometimes, of course, myself, we complain the civil service, but there are key pockets of people where these people are highly professional and they give their 100% plus. Like my friends at the post office, the people at the Inland Revenue Department, they do a marvelous job. Now, why am I also saying that? If I had to get my ID, my national ID replaced in my own country in St. Lucia, it would have taken me weeks, maybe months. And I can tell you, for example, when I want to get my driver's license, the same thing happens. I go down to IRD, and in a matter of minutes, or less than half an hour, I'm out. Not in St. Lucia, sir. It might take you weeks, months, and endless vexation. So I want to just big up these people and let them know that they are doing a tremendous job. Bravo! Now, Anwali, let's run. Anukuwi, let's run like Julian Alfred. The fastest woman in the world. 100 meters in 10.2 seconds. And when she's asked how she's able to do that, she says, Lucia pressure. Tifiaka kuwiko cheval. Today, we move to part 2 of the Destiny Special Sustainable Zone Development Agreement proposed by Oliver Johnson, a citizen of St. Kitts. We want to talk about 2 things today if we have the time. One, last week we established the concept of the Destiny Project, what it's all about and what it hopes to do. And we spend some time looking at the likely economic impact on the economy of Nevis, not of the Destiny Project, but simply of the land sale that precedes the Destiny project. And I showed you, using my economic interpretation, that actually, if that money enters into the banking system, and if the bank has the appetite for development, and if the entrepreneurial spirit is on the ground and is enabled by the Nevis Island administration, what you actually begin to have in Nevis, even before the project begins, is an economic boom. So you can imagine what will happen when the project begins. So today, we want to discuss, one, how government seem to perceive the Destiny project, and two, what the Destiny developers and demands from the government for what they are offering. Now, if we do not cover both of the parts, of course, we will continue next week. We are not determining how many talk shows we'll have on Destiny. It all depends on you, your participation. I have a body of stuff to cover, as I said in the first program, but of course I am not rushing anything. If my program is people-led, people-driven, if you wish to educate us and we are not finished, no problem. We continue the following week or the following time that we meet. This is how I thought of beginning today. What comes to your mind when you hear the word Destiny? Now, I'm not talking about Destiny Child, the music group. No, I'm not talking about that, please. I'm talking about the Destiny project. What comes to your mind when you hear the word Destiny? Now, I had a number of encounters with persons, different persons. I also read different papers, newspapers, from the social media, literature, or bulletins from the government, etc. And this is how I put it. What comes to your mind when you hear the word Destiny? One, from the print media, from international papers, from the political war. I call it a political war that is in the social media. There is a political war in the social media. From government promotion, from opinion setters, from the mouth of those who oppose, and some of them bitterly, the project, from Labour Party supporters, from CCM supporters, from a class of persons who are who seem more confused about what Destiny is all about. And they refer to it as the thing they want to do in Nevis. So that's a class of person. A class of person who don't understand it or are confused by the mix-up messages. They call it the thing they want to do in Nevis. This is what I have decoded from all the mixed messages. And I have come up with 5 messages from those mixed messages. 1, it says, when you think of the word Destiny, what comes to mind? 1, Nevis, the Nevis miracle is coming. That's one of the ideas that I get. The Nevis miracle is coming. 2, the making of a new St. Kitts and Nevis, but Nevis in particular. That's another one I got. 3, the building of a mega city of the richest people in the world living in Nevis. That's another one that I got. And the fourth one I got, free world-class hotels. Have you heard that? Free big high-end hotels are coming to be built in Little Nevis in addition to Four Seasons. That's another thing that I got. Free high-end hotels, mega hotels, world-class hotels for rich people are coming to be built in Nevis already, even if they already have Four Seasons. That's another idea that I got. And the last one, walk like we never see before is coming very soon. I gleaned that from it. Walk like we never see before in St. Kitts and Nevis is coming very soon. So I thought of starting it in this way. So when I put this together, I said, okay, let me zero now and try to understand the thinking of the federal government and the thinking of the Nevis Island administration. So I thought of starting the conversation from those mixed messages in this way. Put yourself in the place of the Prime Minister of the St. Kitts and Nevis Federation, knowing that the IMF report that you just received says your fiscal economy leaves you very little space to operate, your macroeconomy is stagnating, you are having difficulty financing your operation because your bailout, well, the CBI is drying up, your reserves are running low, and your debt servicing obligation is becoming burdensome. So we're putting ourselves in the place of the Prime Minister, who's also the Minister of Finance, and that is the report that gets. And you are about to face the voters in a general election. And the same IMF is calling on you to do something about the economy and to do something about government business. It is in that context, I think it is understandable that the federal government should perceive the Destiny Project as the following. One, they should perceive that the Destiny Project could create sustained high economic growth during its 10 years of construction, because it is in two phases, during construction, and that it can create enviable GDP growth rate in its operation. Because after all, that is where that the IMF have been hitting it all the time. What are you doing if GDP? So, secondly, it could perceive the Destiny Project as government coffers could be filled and overflowing with money. So no more fiscal deficit. That's nice. No more borrowing from the banks. No more drawing down your reserve. No more problems paying salaries. No more issuing of any bonds and treasury bills. And most of all, no more IMF harassment about GDP. So I'm putting myself in the place of the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. That is how I would see it. This is how I would see it. And this would excite me. I'm thinking perhaps this is what is exciting them, if there is a basis for excitement. And I said, likewise, the Nevis Island administration could envisage the project as destiny as transforming Nevis. Transforming Nevis. Nevis becoming one of the richest micro islands in the world. Because if the project begins, or if the project triggers a boom, even through the very preparatory stage, the land sale, it is not far-fetched that one can think that this island can become one of the richest in the world. And the name Nevis, the island administration could think like that. And the name Nevis could be on the lips of all in the global society and the enviable home for many more celebrities. That is nice. That is nice. Now, let me tell you something. When I thought of this thing, I wrote this thing down. And then I reflect again. I say, but that's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched. So if it is not far-fetched, one can understand why, based on what we said in the last talk show, and now, one can understand why Premier Mark Brantley is excited about the project. Yeah, one can understand that. And one can understand why the federal government, Dr. Drew, should be excited likewise. But of course, he will not have the same excitement as Mark Brantley, because Mark is going to be actually the subject, in the sense that Nevis is the subject of transformation. According to Mark, watch that man. So, destiny is exactly, if I was in the CCM and if I were in the federal government, I would say destiny is exactly what the doctor ordered. And I gleaned a government promo on the social media. That's how it reads. It says, Destiny Special Sustainable Zone unveil a transformative vision for Nevis and St. Kitts. So this bear out the kind of excitement that I'm talking about. It bears that out. So in that circumstance, I pose a question. Remember that I spoke to and I gave you the different classes, the different views that people have and whatever. So in that circumstance, which Caribbean government in power, in the Eastern Caribbean, and I'm removing Maya Motley because Maya Motley to me is the symbol of leadership in the Caribbean. So I'm not putting her in it. Which Caribbean government in the Eastern Caribbean in power and fettered by the problems that the IMF wrote that confront Dr. Drew and his government now? Which of them, like in power, like Honorable Mark Brantley, leader of the Concerned Citizens movement, and the Premier of Nevis Island Administration, and like I said, like Dr. Drew, the leader of the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party and Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, which of them would not consider what appears as a once-in-a-lifetime mega development project that promises to build a techno-modern city for the ultra-rich in the world in their country at this time? That's the question I ponder on this morning on my farm. Which of them? From St. Lucia, from Dominica, from Antigua, from St. Vincent, from Grenada? I'm taking off Barbados from the Eastern Caribbean. Which of them would have an offering, an opportunity like this and turn it down flatly? Which one of them? When I open the phone, I want you to call me and tell me which one of them. Call me and tell me which one. And I will find out, because during the CPL, I hope to go out to some of the islands as part of the media and spend some time, particularly in Barbados. So tell me which one of them. Would any of the prime ministers of those small Eastern Caribbean islands have turned down Mr. Janssen, or even go to the extent, like some of the people who don't like him, revoke his citizenship? Which one? From St. Lucia? From St. Vincent? From Dominica? From Antigua? From Grenada? Which one would do that? Which one? Suppose the Destiny Project was presented to the People Labour Party or to the People Action Movement, and they were sitting in right now as I speak in Dr. Drew's seat, having received that write-up from the IMF. Which one we're going to turn it down? Dr. Harris? Ms. Gray from PAM? What song would they be singing now? What song? A reggae? A calypso? Blues? Blues? Rhythm and blues? A Sankey? What kind of song would they be singing? Given the economic reality in Nevis, I'm going to go back on Nevis. When you consider Nevis contributes about 40% of the GDP of St. Kitts. But of course, I have said that the data is not sufficiently disaggregated, so we can give Nevis its kudos. But the local economy runs basically on a one sector economy, which really has a 5-month business cycle. That's the reason. 5-month business cycle, basically running the country on a 5-month business cycle. 7 months you have to grovel, you have to do all kind of things to remain in existence. And consequently, you try your best. Outside of the 5 months, the beautiful island goes to sleep after 4 p.m. If the Nevis Reformation Party was in CCM seat as we speak now. If NRP was in power in Nevis as we speak, I am certain they would be singing a different Sankey right now. I have no doubt in my mind that if NRP was in power now, they would be singing a different tune. I highly suspect they would be doing the very same thing that MAC and the CCM are doing. What about Sugar City? What about Sugar City? What about St. Kitts? I came here since 1991. So I know a lot about 1991 to now. But I read a lot. I read back down to the 1980s. And I'm fairly conversant on that. After 7 years in power, Dr. Harris, with Team Unity, is a strong leader and he's a knowledgeable leader. He did comparably very well under the difficult circumstances of the COVID. And I have always said that. You can't touch him on that. He kept us alive. He kept us alive. And outside of keeping us alive, he kept the modicum of the economy going. And he was able to use government spending to keep the economy going. And following that, he was still able to generate surpluses after a very difficult period. But I'm going back to him. That same Dr. Harris, if he was sitting in Dr. Drew's place now, with the same difficulty Dr. Drew is facing now, I am certain he would be skanking a different skank. He would be dancing a different dance. I bet that. What about the People's Action Movement? I'm going to open the call. When I finish, I'm going to open the phone, for you to make me wiser, for you to correct me, or for you to give me the intelligence and tell me that how Mr. Harris and the others and NRP would do different and so on. Yeah, because you know them more. I don't have a problem with that. I'm going to open just now. What about the People's Action Movement? What about the People's Action Movement? After many years in the wilderness, and after having 2 opportunities to take over the government, you all didn't take it. Wouldn't they, if they were sitting in Dr. Drew's place, grab at a straw? Now, I'm just thinking aloud. I don't have that on the paper. I'm just thinking that aloud. Would they have asked Dr. Janssen to take his project to Antigua, or take it to St. Lucia, or take it to St. Vincent, or take it to Grenada, but get out of in our face with that project? I don't believe so. Would Palm have asked the billionaire to go and build his mega city with his ultra wealthy citizens elsewhere? Would Miss Gray, who is our perhaps soon to be first female Prime Minister of St. Kitts, if she was sitting in Dr. Drew's place right now, under the condition that we have just spoken about, under the report from the International Monetary Fund, would she have turned down without consideration this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity from Mr. Janssen? I doubt that very much. I have a lot of things to say. I'm going to take a break. We're going to take a break, and I'm going to open the phone, and then we are going to go and answer the questions that we said. What the government they're gonna get, and what is it that the project proposals are asking in demand. Let's take a break, and then we'll open the phone for a while.
Back to school shouldn't meet you unprepared. St. Kitts Credit Union's Back to School loan helps you borrow up to $10,000 with flexible repayment plans, fast approval, supportive terms. Invest in your child's future with confidence, because every child deserves a strong start. Start today at www.skccu.com or call 465-2272. SKCU, invested in their future with you.
Friday's calling, and it's calling for a Guinness. Every Friday, it's Guinness Happy Hour at Champions Bar and Last Lap, 5 p.m. to 6:30. Buy one Guinness, get one free. 2 stouts for the price of one. 1 hour and a half. Zero excuses. Guinness. Drink responsibly.
FreedomFM1065.com. From St.
Now boarding Anguilla Air Services passengers with direct flights to St. Kitts. Round trips are only $284 US. St. Kitts taxes and fees included. Come, experience the magic. Best price, best value, best service. A new chapter in Caribbean connectivity is here. Come fly with Anguilla Air Services today. From the breathtaking views as you lift off from Anguilla to the warm embrace of St. Kitts as in the ties that unite our beloved region. With daily departures, Sunday through Friday at 8:30 a.m. from Anguilla and 9:45 a.m. from St. Kitts, and on Saturdays, a 2:30 p.m. departure from Anguilla and a 5 p.m. departure from St. Kitts. Travelers now enjoy a more dependable, smoother, more enjoyable way to commute between these two vibrant destinations. Traveling for leisure, Anguilla Air Services is honored to be part of your journey. Experience the magic. Fly Anguilla Air Services. Tickets can be booked at the counters in Anguilla and St. Kitts or online at your favorite booking engine. For more information, visit www.
To spend or to save, to delay or to stay on track. It's discipline that shapes our future, because discipline means making the choice today that pays off tomorrow. Remember, discipline, choice, pays. A message from the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Get the Freedom FM app now. Just search Freedom FM app on Google.
Welcome back to Issues. You are listening to Freedom FM 106.5. This is Issues with Coach Adrien. We are doing part 2 of the proposed Destiny Project for St. Kitts and Nevis, particularly for Nevis. We are talking about what Destiny promised the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm going to open the line and for you to educate us on the issues that I have raised, or for you to give us your opinion, or for you to give us the knowledge that we don't have. But following that, we are going to go into the meat. What is it that the government expect and the NIA expect from the Destiny Project? What we gave was an introduction. So the numbers to call is 662-1065, 662-1065, or 465-6474, or 465-0546. Okay, we have somebody online already. You're online, please.
Good afternoon, Peter.
How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good.
Very good. Talk to me.
You asked the question, which one of the other Caribbean leaders in the OECS?
I removed Mayor Motley and the Eastern Caribbean. I said she's not in it. Yeah.
Right. Given the same circumstances,
yes,
of the background of the IMF report, would not be welcoming the project. And I would like to suggest one that may not be so, would be very cautious about accepting it. And that one is Deacon Michel in Grenada.
Who's that?
Do you notice?
Hold on. Who did you say?
Grenada, the Grenadian Prime Minister.
Okay, go on. I'm writing it down. Okay.
Yeah. Did you notice how he played hide and seek with the mighty U.S. when they were asked to put an installation, a military installation on the island? Right? And
I'm writing down what you are saying.
The reluctance, I think, came from the fact that it was clear that quite a number of Grenadian elements opposed it. So if they can do that with the mighty U.S., they could do that with any other project that appears before them if it is considered not in the best interest of the country. And I think that is the problem here as well, because you may make it sound very rosy, and the developers may make it sound very rosy. The Premier of Nevis might make it sound extremely rosy. The federal government may lick its lips at the possibility of getting so much more CBI money, passport money, but we don't know the details of the project. I don't know if you have seen the agreement, but most of the country haven't. And until we know exactly what's in it, how can we be asked to buy a pig in a bag? We don't know. Now, I agree that it's a really mammoth project and has the capacity to transform the country. But if it was really like that, you would think that both the NIA and the federal government would embrace it, and not only embrace it, but sell it to us come to us in an open fashion, tell us what the agreement involves, and get our support. But the mere fact that there is so much secrecy and so on surrounding this, the mere fact of how it was rolled out in the first place, gives cause for concern. And yes, if they were bringing their own money and pouring it into the economy, of course, that would have been great. But it seems as if they're going to use our passport money for the development. And that should ring alarm bells, okay? Because you see, Peter, so all well and good. I remember when, for instance, the Christopher Harbour project was talked about. And there were others before that. Really, fancy and eye-catching and so on, okay? But, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You wait and see what happens. Look at where the Christopher Harbour project is at the moment. It's not where it should have been. So yes, you can have all kinds of fancy promotions and inducements and all of these, right? But in the final analysis, the developers should deliver. And I'm saying that I would like to see the project salvaged. In the sense that, for instance, you mentioned that they're building 3 major hotels. Give us some confidence that you can do something. Start one, do one, okay? Before you make us give you all kinds of concessions and do all kinds of strange things, because you're an economist and you're just looking at the economy and what it would benefit from this if it happens. But there's a social part of it that you can't ignore, right? You just can't ignore it based on our history and all of that, right? And so, yes, it may sound good, but we need more hard evidence of what it would do for the country, what it would bring, and if it can do as it says it was, if it's really the best thing since sliced bread. We're not yet convinced of that, I don't think.
Okay, Mark.
Okay?
Mark, you can always come back. There are other people who want to come.
Okay.
I have taken notes on that, and I'm going to respond to you. You have raised some very good issues, and some of them I'm going to respond to, and some of them I'm going to deal with in the talk show. All right. So let me just take it. Let me just take it from the bottom first. Yes, indeed, I am putting a lot of emphasis on the economic impact of the project. And a lot of the discussion have been on the economic impact. But I will deal, if you remember the plan that I gave you, I'm going to deal with both the advantages, that's the benefits I'm talking about. I'm going to deal with the disadvantages and the issue of the social part or the legal part, the constitutional part. I'm going to come to that. That's going to come. I'm not rushing the brush. We are doing it step by step so that the people who are listening, they understand what the thing is, what the thing offers, and then we're going to discuss what the things require, because you cannot have your cake and eat it. So I try not to put the cart before the horse. But you raise a very good point, and hopefully if we don't come to it before this program ends, we are going to be there next week. But we're going to be here, because so far we're doing well on time. The next one that you said, caller, you said they are going to use our passport money to build the mega city. That's incorrect. That is not correct. Please, that is not true. That is not correct. And people used to say that, I remember under Dr. Douglas, and Sylvine used to like to say that, and every time she says that, I used to correct her, that the people come citizenship, they come and use our money, and they build a building there. That's why they live it there. That's not true. That is not true. The developer is going to develop, just like I said, construction is building shells, and real estate is adorning the shell and selling it. the proposer, the developers, they are going to build the structures and they're going to sell it. The passport money comes with the citizenship. If the person is approved for citizenship, the person now wishes to translate their citizenship certificate to the owning of a passport, then there is the passport application, the passport fees. So there's nothing like the government taking the passport money and give it to them. Now, this is not correct. Please, everybody, that does not happen. That does not happen. Now, the other one that you said, caller, the other one that you said that you think the guy in Grenada, so you are saying that St. Lucian would accept, St. Vincent would accept, Antigua would accept, but Grenada, Dominica would accept, but Grenada would not accept. But what we are talking about there, we are talking about chalk and cheese. America asked them to put in something for military purposes. In other words, at the same time America is asking them that, America is taking everything from them, just like any other country in the world that is under the tariff, that is feeling the effects of the immigration policy, that is feeling the effects of the drying of funds for USAID and WHO and everything like that. Here we're talking about a different animal, please, Mr. McMahon, a completely different animal. We're talking about an investor injecting into your economy. That's not what America was doing. We're talking about pocketbook. We're talking about money. We're talking about bread. We're talking about work. That's a different vibration to what America was asking to go the area there to go and hit on Venezuela. That's a different vibration. So that is not any temptation or any test to make me say to have the kind of confidence that you have. But of course, I respect that. Let's move on. But you know, guys, sometimes when it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. Like these days, it's a dry season and we really want the water, we really want the rain. But sometimes when it rains, it pours. And it affects us even in St. Kitts because of the nature of the topsoil, the grass. If you have too much rain, then you have a lot of erosions. And some of the farmers have taken me up the hills and shown me what happens when you have a lot of water. Now, despite all what I have said there, destiny is connected to the citizenship by investment program like a child connected to her mother through the umbilical cord. So destiny is offering the government of St. Kitts and Nevis a guaranteed market for selling St. Kitts citizenship. It is offering the government of St. Kitts a captive market for doing citizenship business without hassle. Without hassle from the US, without hassle from Canada, without hassle from Europe. It is offering the government of St. Kitts and Nevis a long-term predictable revenue stream from the CBI product. And what are we talking about? According to the document, a near guaranteed 40,000 citizenship by investment applicants. And I'm talking about first applicant. I'm not talking about the wife and the children and the this. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. And later on, when we do that, I did some arithmetic I'm going to share with you later on, maybe next week. But the playing field is not level. It has never been level for developing countries. The playing field has never been level for black people. The playing field has never been level for Caribbean people. The playing field has never been level for those of us who are poor and powerless. It has never. Every time that we seem to be getting our hands on something and we're doing something good, the imperial power comes down and stop and put a brakes on it. Unfortunately, what I'm saying is that, unfortunately, the present government, that is Dr. Drew's government, is being, as we speak, is being severely tested. As we speak, they are being tested to the max. Why do I say that? For those who don't know, on the 25th of June 2026, that's 18 days ago, the European Commission issued a formal letter to Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, St. Christopher and Nevis, and St. Lucia. And the word that they use is directing them to stop. I use the word stop. They use a more friendly word. But it means stop. Stop the citizenship by investment program by the latest 1st of June 2028. Should they refuse, they could permanently lose their visa-free access to the European Union SKN area. What is that SKN area? In other words, when America wanted us to take the deportees, when they wanted us to take the deportees, they use 3 big sticks. One, they say cut off with Cuba. Get rid of all the nurses, get rid of all the doctors, and stop doing business with them and stop paying the doctors so that they don't siphon money back into Cuba. They said, secondly, what you are going to do, if you do not want to take the deportees, you have always had problem with your domestic banks because you have problem getting correspondent banks in the major cities in Canada, in Europe, and in America. If you don't, we are going to apply pressure on that and derail your local banking system. As I said a long time, I have to speak about that, but I can't speak about that today. One of these days, we're going to speak about it. This corresponding bank problem has been going on since I was at the central bank, but it has escalated. So the European Union now are saying, okay, now you have visa-free access. The SKN area is really a border-free zone of 29 European countries. These countries have abolished passport and immigration controls at their borders. So once you have access to one, you have access to all. So there are 29 of them. So as we speak now, St. Kittians, St. Lucians, Antiguans, Dominicans, they can go to all these countries visa-free. And of course, they use that kind of platform to advertise their citizenship by investment program. Among those 29 countries, I'll just call a few that may be familiar to us in terms of doing business with us. Spain, Sweden, Italy, Germany, France, Denmark, Belgium, and a whole lot of them. So that if you want, as we speak, if the Kittians or Nivision, okay, somebody is on, you're on air, please. Once you're on air, I give you priority. You're on air, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Peter.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm trying to find out, where can you find the information that you're giving now? Because that wasn't the information we were getting from the government.
But I don't understand what you are saying.
the information you're giving about why we have this visa problem.
But that is all over the net, you know, man. That's all. You just go. Well, in fact, I checked it this morning, so you can check that. You if you have your phone with you, go Google, open Google.
So you're saying that the government...
No. If you ask me a question, let me speak, you listen. And then you speak afterwards. Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Good, so I'm speaking now. If you have your phone, you go on Google and you ask Google the question. Did the EU ask St. Kitts or St. Lucia to stop CBI? It will give you the answer. It will give it to you. So that is not just a government thing. That's all over the world. So government don't have to give you that because it's all over the world. We are living in the internet age.
Okay.
So it is, although they send them an official document, but they made the document public. That is why governments have to be very careful now. Because there was a time when they send them official documents and they can take it and do what they want and play politics and gigi with it. But nowadays it's not so. And not only that, there are certain institutions that have this policy of openness. And one of the institutions that have this policy of openness is the European Union. Any information you want on any country in the European Union, whether it's about work, about this, about that, anything, you go on the European Union platform and you get it. You want to know about how St. Kitts is dealing with the union, whether they have problem with them, just go on the European Union website and you'll get everything. My brother, don't get scared. Everything is out there. Now talk to me now.
Thanks for the information. Now I understand.
Talk to me.
No, thanks for the information. I understand now.
Good man. God bless.
All right.
Okay. So the point that I was making is that St. Kitts and Nevis right now, we can travel freely to these countries, no hassle. And I don't know. I need to take a long ride, you know, before they do their business. I don't know what they're going to do. So I'll have to tell my wife, let's go on a long ride before they close the door. Before they set up walls, let's go and enjoy it. But jokes aside, many of our CBI applicants are attracted to St. Kitts Citizenship by Investment Program because they have access to those countries hassle-free. So if they were to take off this thing, it would literally, I wouldn't say it would kill CBI, but what it would do, it would give CBI, in a sense, a big blow. But that is exactly the big blow that it is giving to CBI. St. Kitts, unlike St. Lucia, unlike Antigua, unlike Dominica, stand a better chance with CBI than any one of them. And I hope the government and them realize that. I hope that they realize that. So, in other words, here is the dagger. The dagger is being plunged at the heart or towards the heart of St. Kitts, towards the heart of St. Lucia, towards the heart of Antigua, towards the heart of Dominica. Yet, St. Kitts has the best breastplate to cushion or to stop that dagger. Why? Because at that very time, it is almost guaranteed free 40,000 ultra-rich CBI application and their families. So you're going to deal. So when I say that, Dr. Drew, they're going to have to deal with that challenge, because that is the decision that they must make. And why the decision is so important? The decision that they make now is either going to kill destiny, or in other words, is they going to hurt destiny or hurt something else? And what do I mean by that? I call it a level 1 challenge it poses to the St. Kitts and Nevis government. Why? Because the activation date for Destiny project is November this year, November 2026. By that time, the government must say yes or no. They must say yes or no. They must say yes or no. So that means government must approve or deny by that date. If government approve, the government will be saying to the EU, like Joe Clark said to the mayor in the movie Lean on Me, and if you have not seen that movie, you need to look at that movie. In the movie Lean on Me, when the school East Side High passed the basic minimum exam and they got their credential from the state examination, Joe Clark called the mayor, and Joe Clark said to the mayor, Mr. Mayor, and the mayor came in, he fixed up himself, he fixed up his clothes, he going to get the accolade. He said, tell the state, go to hell. Oh my, Joe Clark. I tell you, I love to look at that movie. I love it. And that is what, jokes aside, what the government would be saying to the EU. He would be saying to the EU, of course, we are prepared to accept the Destiny offer and demands, and we stand ready to risk our citizens and our business community having only visa access to Europe. That is the choice that is facing the young Prime Minister now. It's when I think of that, I normally say, my father, what a tight spot to be in just before a general election. You got to make that decision. You got to make it that decision. Mm-hmm. So, if you say no, if you say yes to the EU, you are saying goodbye to Destiny. You can't have it both ways. That is a difficult choice. It's a difficult choice. But I remember in international politics, we learned that there is something called, because the vaccine issue of, I'll come to that later on, the vaccine issue of Destiny are the conditions, the conditionalities that they are asking, the conditionalities that allows them to operate with freedom outside of control by the government. And we are going to talk about the detail of that. If we have time, I'm going to make what some of the Bar Association have to say about that and whatever. But the issue of sovereignty is the issue that surface. But I remember in international politics, we learned that there is something called shared. There is something called shared sovereignty. There is something called shared sovereignty in that, that one, just like in the EU arrangement, in fact, a better arrangement is the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union and the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. A lot of the powers of monetary and finance and related matter are delegated to the multi-state central bank, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, particularly in the last, the latest version of the Banking Act. So we'll deal with that later on. But what is actually the EU is asking them to do here is really what I call an international trade matter. A nation cannot tell another nation in which area they are going to compete on the global market. They cannot tell another country what service to sell. You can't ask a country to stop the CBI program. You are out of place. You can't do that. You cannot. The country is free to continue selling any service that it feel it has competitive advantage or it feel it has comparative advantage in. Of course, it accepts the risk that goes along with it. You can say you're not giving your passport, but you can't tell them stop. Who are you to tell them stop? St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Grenada, Dominica, Antigua, these are not colonies anymore. This is not colonial time. Yes, you all may have a lot of power, and of course they have the flag and you can bully them here and there. But United Nations says they are a nation. And therefore, you have to be much more diplomatic in the way that you deal with them. You can't just tell them stop. No. The country, if St. Kitts think it has competitive advantage in selling citizenship or selling passport, no country can prevent Christopher from doing that. Of course, as I said, you have agreed you must be prepared to dance to the music. And we have already said it. So you will be prepared to, if you want to go to Germany, you want to go to Italy, you key up for your passport and for your visa if they want to give you or whatever. The imperialists have always cut the life under us. They have done that, always. Every time we appear to be standing on our feet. First, it was bananas. They opened the market for the U.S. companies in Latin America, Chiquita and Del Monte. Somebody's online. You're online. Once you're online, I give you the priority. You're online, please. You're on air.
Yes, Peter. I'm surprised.
You are back.
Yeah, that you say they can't do that. They've done it. They've done it, as you were just going to say, with bananas. They've done it with the internet gaming. They've done it with offshore banking. They have done it. So, it seems strange that you would say that they can't do it. Even the cases that they won in court, like Antigua did, they just refused to pay up. Okay? So don't say that they can't do it. But in addition to that, the crux, I think, of the matter is that, as you've pointed out, they never were comfortable with things like the CBI. Anytime, as you said, we get on our feet, they cut it from under. They cut the ground from under us. Okay? And what do you think would happen if, for instance, those people come here? I think it's 10,000 primary CBI residents.
No. When it is fully working,
came from Brantley.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about when I was on the show with Premier Brantley. That is when it first.
Are you talking about Destiny?
Yes.
Destiny. The project says 30,000, and I'm not asking you that. I'm telling you that.
Oh, well, that's new information because I got he said then they were looking at 10,000 primary residents.
Well, that is remember the capacity of citizenship in that zone is 30,000. But it's just not going to be 30,000 just like that. It will grow.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes. There's that capacity of for growth. Mm-hmm. And I'm asking, how do you think the metropolitan powers are going to react to all those rich people in that zone not paying what they concerned their fair share of taxes from wherever the mother country is? I'm suggesting to you that they are not going to look kindly to it anyway, and it's going to just be like what has happened before. Anytime we get a money cow there, they're gonna make it for their purposes or shut it down. Okay, and the I don't think that well, we can argue semantics all we want about passport. I did hear on the interview with the same Jensen, okay, that he was going to use that as a financing tool as well. He said it himself on an interview with some divisions earlier club. So it may be semantics to say, well, yes, passport, it's not our money because they pay for our citizenship, but I think that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
Okay.
Mark, give me a chance. Maybe call back. Let me respond to that because others are going to come. Let me respond to the last one that is saying there. Let me respond to the last one. Jensen can't sell St. Kitts passport. Now let's get that right. Whoever, whether it is opposition or politician or anybody that said that, that's nonsense. Jensen can't sell St. Kitts passport. Anybody who sells St. Kitts passport in that kind of way is fraud and must be put in prison. That cannot happen. What is being promoted is that you in other words, you are attracted to come through citizenship by investment. That is it. In other words, you come here through citizenship by investment. But Jensen cannot issue passport. Get that right, fellas. Don't let people fool you with that. That cannot happen. Even if the government say that, they cannot do it. Jensen cannot issue passport. Only St. Kitts and Nevis can issue passport. What Jensen is going to offer, and if you see, go on the net, you will see the artist impression. Just like when they were building Kwai and they were building Ramadan and the rest, they show you the artist impression. You buy into the property. Now, the government has set a basis that if you want to be qualified for citizenship by investment, you're going to make your 325 or 350,000 US. Now, Jensen, that's the minimum. Jensen can sell a property, and later on we're going to go into that when I begin to speak about the disadvantages and whatever, who is getting what and who is not getting what. Jensen can sell a property, a unit down there, for $1 million US, for 1.5 million US, for $500,000 US. But the thing is, for you to qualify, you must buy a property that reaches the minimum set by the government. But Jensen can issue passport to people. So he's not going to sell passport and use passport to build things. Please, people, stop saying this thing. That cannot happen. Now, the other thing that you're talking about, that the government over there in the US and in Europe, they will lose their rich people. So will they ever get them to come into to allow them to come to Nevis? When President Obama in 2010 mashed up our offshore sector or crippled it, he passed the Foreign Account Tax Compliant Act (FATCA) that was on March 18, 2010. Now, what he was really after is for American citizens overseas who were, quote unquote, evading taxation. In other words, they want tax from them. Now, the people who are coming to be in the zone, are they all coming from America? That is not correct. They're coming from all over the world. They're coming from all over the world. And what Europe has to do with that? If St. Kitts decides to give a citizenship by investment document to somebody from Holland or somebody from Germany or somebody from Saudi Arabia, that's not their concern. That the only concern that comes in, if one of those persons who get the citizenship then apply for a passport, get the passport and then try to use the passport and to go to the zone. But that wouldn't even matter. Why it wouldn't even matter? Because furthermore, by that they have already given a time. Whether you do that or you don't do the other, you're going to have to apply for a visa anyhow. So let me tell you something. That's why I said the government is really going to be tested, you know. The metal is going to be tested. How sovereign, how much you can use your sovereign rights, your international law rights. How much are you able to flex yourself? How much can you take a position like the Mayor Motley that says, look, if you want, you can take your visa. If you want, you can take your visa, but just don't come near with those deportees. And she's making that statement when the very headquarters of the United States Embassy is in her country. And she's making that statement and taking it to the platform the very weeks of election in Barbados. And then how would the people respond when they understood her message? They gave her all the 40 seats in Parliament. For 3 times she have run election. For every 3 times, the people give her all the 40 seats. Now, are you telling me Barbadians are stupid? So what you saying, they are dope? She put a spell on them? No, I don't think so. The leader articulates the issue to her people, and the people digest the issue, the people balance the issue. She gives options as to what she wants to do, and the people therefore give her the mandate to do what she wants. So in that case, I am not too hung up on this one, my caller. And they did that to our bananas, they did it to offshore, and now they are doing it to CBI. The imperialists, they take away all development aids, USAID, WHO. The US imposed taxes on our export to America after 60 years without notice. The US put a tax on the little monies that we get from our people who live in America, the little remittances. The US pressured our Caribbean leaders to give up our friends, that is the Cubans, who take care of us and send planes to take care of our eyes and everything. They send doctors and nurses. And today, if you want to go to get thing at the hospital, you might have to wait for months or for a year. But they say get rid of the Cubans. On both sides of the Atlantic, they have passed laws to keep us out. They are building walls to keep us out. They have threatened to derail our banking system, unless we agree to take U.S. deportees. Now, what is happening? They are not finished yet. From April 2nd, 2025, if you remember, they have created turbulence in the world to make life unbearable for us. Prices that we cannot pay. Goods that we cannot buy. And don't even talk about good food. We cannot buy that. We can only buy the foods that is going to aggravate our diabetes and our high blood pressure. It makes us scared to go to the supermarket. In fact, going to the supermarket, as I've always said, you must have a strong heart. Now, the US and the EU commands us to stop CBI or face the big stick. So, what do we have here? I put it in this way. The choir was already singing what they were singing. That only came to my mind this morning. that the choir was already singing, "The golden morning is fast approaching, destiny soon will come." Now the singers have stopped. The choir master, the conductor, his hand is up. The baton cannot swing up or down or left or right. The singers are looking steadfastly at the conductor. And who is the conductor now? Mark Bruntley from Nevis and Dr. Terence Drew from St. Kitts. It's times of very, very difficult for you all. It's not easy to be a prime minister now. It's not easy. It's not easy. Between now and, I suspect, I can't say November, between now and October, difficult decisions must be made. Difficult. You have destiny or you don't have it. You have the EU or you don't have destiny. You are going to have to take a decision on that. As to whether you want to take it to the people, that is your concern. That is not my concern. I'm just saying what is before you. So, that, having said all of that, I think we have 5 more minutes. I am not going to go into the second part on what destiny requires from the government. That will take us to the other part. What are the demands that the Destiny Project is making on the NIA and the St. Kitts Labour Party government? I'm going to leave it there. So let me just wrap it up here. It's not exactly 3 o'clock, but it's all right. I'm going to wrap it up here. So what we have established is what is in the project, a Destiny Project, for both the people of Nevis and the people of St. Kitts. We have established what is in the project for government business in Nevis and government business in St. Kitts. We have established that on the economic side, there is great signals of tremendous falling in. That is revenue for government. It signals activity, stimulation. It signals economic exchange. It signals coming in of new money. Of course, we're going to examine a lot of these things. It signals, in a sense, the making of a different thing in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm going to stop it here. Next week, we're going to begin straight. What is it that Mr. Janssen and the Destiny developers are demanding from the government of St. Kitts? We're going to look at what they're requesting. We will look at the response from some of people in the legal minds. We'll look at some of the issues with respect to liberties and whatever and whatever. I want to thank you for following. I want to thank you for the people who called, the people who contributed, the people who gave us their thoughts. I want to thank you for the people who scheduled their time just to spend time with me. I am encouraged by that. I thank the number of people who do research for me and the people from overseas who send me documents and who send me all kind of information. I want to thank you. Without you, the program would never have been what it is. What I have sought to do in these 2 programs is to tell you what, and to tell you what it seems to sell. What is the glamour? What is the pull? What is the offering? Next week, we are going to look at what is it for all those offerings and the benefit. What is it is requiring, Destiny is requiring from us. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for your participation. Until next week, Monday, same time, same place. Coach Adrien saying bye-bye.
The sound of St. Kitts Nevis. Freedom FM 106.